Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about Surging Sparks booster boxes and why they are the most undervalued booster box on the market right now. As ridiculous as that seems, we're going to be looking at the data. I'm going to be giving you my reasons why I believe that and why the data suggests that. Before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, PokeNotify. PokeNotify is the fastest growing Discord notification service, offering you the fastest notifications for drops, restocks, and deals on Pokemon product. They cover all the main regions of the world: Canada, the US, Japan, Europe. They cover all the main sites, whether it's Walmart, Pokemon Center, Best Buy, Target, you name it, they're covering it. A lot of success yesterday on Pokemon Day in the US. A lot of people getting restocks with 151 Prismatic. Here in Canada, I got some Prismatic 2-pack blisters thanks to them on Walmart. And then today, for the first time ever, we got Sea and Sky boxes here at Walmart Canada, sold and shipped by Walmart. That was crazy. Hopefully we get a few more of those. $7.99 a month, guys, if you want to hop in there. They also have a 3-day free trial, so you can jump in and test it out. If you want to get a subscription after that, you can use the code PROFIT25 for 25% off your first month. I'll leave all the details in the description down below, and thanks again to PokeNotify for sponsoring the video. Now, moving into why Surging Sparks booster boxes are the best investment, the most undervalued booster box, we're going to be comparing it to some other booster boxes, and we're going to be looking at Paldea Evolved, Twilight Masquerade, Chilling Reign, Brilliant, Lost Origin, and Fusion. The reason I'm taking these boxes, they're kind of a lot of the boxes that are around the price of Surging Sparks right now. We could have looked at Silver Tempest and Astral, but honestly, most of those, like even compared to a lot of these other ones that are more expensive, it would have made the point probably even stronger, I guess, but it's not super relevant. Those sets are definitely a lot weaker. Most people would put those below Brilliant Stars and Chilling Reign, which honestly was like the cutoff for me when looking at the Sword and Shield stuff. And then Paldea Evolved and Twilight are really the only other SV era booster boxes that are even in the conversation, even though they're not even close. So you guys can see on screen, booster box price, top 3, top 5, and top 10 values. We'll go through them all. So Surging Sparks, booster box price, and a couple of these are highlighted. We'll be looking at Chilling Reign and Lost Origin, maybe even Fusion a bit more in depth later in the video. But Surging Sparks booster box price around $260 right now. And when we look at the cards, you obviously have the Pikachu EX sitting around $460 still. The Latias sitting around $255. The Milotic, however you say it, around $150, $155. The Pikachu, the gold one, I really love this card. It's still over $100. Hydreigon, 5th place, $91. Then you have Lycia's Appeal, the Alone Executor, Latios, Jasmine's Gaze, and Ceruledge. That's your top 10 cards. And when we look at these values, nothing in SV era when it comes to booster boxes even remotely compares, right? We'll look at Paldea Evolved next, but top 3 value in that set's less than $400, so less than half of Surging Sparks. Still less than half when we get to top 5 value, and still less than half as well when we look at top 10. I think it gets a bit closer when you look at top 20, top 30 maybe, because Paldea is very deep. But again, those cards aren't as relevant. That was a huge mistake. I've talked about this multiple times on the channel. That's why I went so deep into Brilliant Stars, because at the time I really believed that depth was way more important than the top hits, or it was a bigger factor to consider. And man, knowing what I know now, I would have bought a lot more Fusion Strike back then. But again, and a lot of people are going into Paldea Evolved right now, which I don't think is a bad decision. Like, it's going to be a great set. I just bought more Paldea Evolved. It's one of those sets that probably won't get reprinted, whereas something like Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade are much more likely. And that is a concession that I pointed down here. Reprints, when they come, they probably will affect these values a bit. But still, even compared to Paldea Evolved, it's miles ahead of it. Obviously, you do have that Magikarp up top, $275. You have the Iono, you have Raichu, Tyranitar, Baxcalibur, Marill, Chuyu, Artabax, Tinkaton, Fuecoco. You have all the new starters and the evolution. So it's a great set, right? But still, compared to Surging Sparks, it's not even close. Even Twilight Masquerade, when you look at it, top 3 value, less than $600. So, $270-ish, $280-ish around there. Less than Surging Sparks. Top 5 value, under $360-ish, I guess, less. And then top 10 value, almost $500 difference between Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade. So Surging Sparks is definitely a much deeper set, and it's still, holding its own when it comes to top 3 cards, even though Twilight Masquerade has this Greninja up top pushing $400. You also have the waifu element with Pairing and Carmine. You have that Eevee as well, Blood Moon Ursaluna. So decent top 5 cards, but again, when you look at Surging Sparks, it's just so much deeper, and the top hits are better, right? Especially having that Latias and the Milotic, having those two cards be kind of like that, not S tier, but A tier depth, maybe even A plus tier depth, which a lot of these other sets like Paldea and Twilight Masquerade just do not have. And obviously, Surging Sparks is more expensive than both of these boxes, so it's not too important to compare them to these sets. But when we look at the other sets, this is where things get more interesting, right? So starting with Chilling Reign, the booster box is going for $314 if we're over here. And if you guys are wondering, I took data from the 25th, okay? Because yesterday, Pokemon Day, there are some boxes that were dumped very low. So when we look at Chilling Reign, someone was dumping a ton of boxes at $300. Brilliant Stars wasn't like that. Lost Origin, someone did sell a bunch of boxes, I think, for 400, no, 315 rather, sorry. So much lower. And you can see today it's already selling again for $400. So I took the booster box price from 2 days ago just because I think with Pokemon Day, a lot of the box prices were skewed and not a super accurate representation of where the boxes are at. But Chilling Reign, still sitting around $315 before Pokemon Day. So that's where I got that price from. So top three value in Chilling Reign. When we come over here, $641. You have that Blaziken, which has moved up a ton, right? That was below $300 at one point, low 330s like a month ago, now pushing close to $400. I think there are some sales actually above it. TCG Player has it around 380. That's great. You have that Galarian Moltres still sitting in that 180, 185 range. The Gold Snorlax is actually the third most expensive card again. It was actually overtaken by the Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is in fourth now. For a while when this card was pushing almost $100. And then you have the Galarian Slowking V. This card's almost $75 now. You have the Zapdos, you have the Articuno, you have Zeraora, the Rapidash. Again, Chilling Reign, super deep set. I really love Chilling Reign. It's one of the only Sword and Shield booster boxes I've actually opened as well. And when you look top 3 value, 640, top 5 value, 791, and then top 10 value, over $1,000 at 1,079. But still, when we compare this to Surging Sparks, it is a box worth around $50 more. But top 3 value, $250-ish less. Top 5 value is, what is that, like almost $300, $280 less. And then top 10 value is around the same 250-ish, maybe around there. So again, Surging Sparks is outranking it in top 3, top 5, top 10, and the top hit as well. And it is cheaper than Chilling Reign. Next up, Brilliant Stars, box is around $286, $287. This box is slowly moving up. I'm happy I still have most of my Brilliant Stars just because of this. But again, I am still trying to move a little bit. That's for another video. That's not super relevant today. But top 3 value for Brilliant Stars, only $343.50. Top 5 value, $439. And then top 10 value, $625. This is pretty bad, right? And if you guys remember way back when I talked about Paldea Evolved, like March, April of last year, I was trying to compare it to Brilliant Stars. And I think Paldea Evolved is going to get close to this $285, $290 mark eventually. Maybe even by the end of the year, early next year. It really depends on what happens with the set if it does cop another reprint. But yeah, Brilliant Stars, not too much going on when we go look at the cards in here. You have that Charizard V, over $200. You have the Umbreon VMAX pushing 80, the Charizard V-Star, the Sylveon VMAX, and then the Umbreon Sylveon V, the Arceus V, which keep an eye on this card. The Pokemon TCG Pocket, just the new, I can't remember the new set that's coming out, the virtual set. It's featuring Arceus, so maybe we see a small pump in this card eventually once that Pocket set comes out, if it hasn't been released already. But again, nothing too crazy in this set, and it's about half the value, maybe even less than half the value when you look at Surging Sparks. So yeah, the fact that this box is worth more than Surging Sparks and not even close to the value, that's another reason why I think Surging Sparks should be a bit higher. Obviously, it's older set, so no more reprints coming. And yeah, but outside of that, like really, there's no reason for it to be worth less. Now, the last two sets we're going to look at are Lost Origin and Fusion Strike. And these boxes, this is kind of going to give us like a good idea of where I think Surging Sparks could be within maybe like 2 or 3 years, right? Like maybe early 2027, 2028, around there, where the box is going to be once it's out of rotation. So Lost Origin, I think I used around 369 or something like that. Yeah, 369.41. Fusion Strike, 450. Again, some boxes were dumped yesterday, but before then it was sitting in that 450 range. And it's actually selling closer to $500 at the end of yesterday. And, I think we're going to see sales above 5. But when we look at the cards, obviously in Lost Origin, you have that Giratina V up top. Huge card, $710. You have the Aerodactyl V, the Pikachu VMAX and V, the Rotom, another Pikachu Trainer Gallery, a Giratina, the Berserker, a Gengar, Charizard. That's your top 10. When you look at the values, $904 top 3. That is slightly higher than Surging Sparks right now. Top 5 value, you're actually below Surging Sparks. And then top 10 value, you're much further below Surging Sparks. And it starts to pull away. But when you look at the top hit, right, even though the top 3 is close, the top hit is not close. The Pikachu's $460, and in Lost Origin, the Giratina is $710. And that's something to consider as well. It's also a Shinji Kanda artwork, which makes the card even more valuable in my mind. And then finally, Fusion Strike. When we're looking at this, you have that Gengar VMAX up top, slightly higher than the Giratina V right now, $717. The Espeon VMAX is an insane secondary supporting card, $330 right now. The Mew VMAX, $175-ish. The Mew V, $74. The Celebi sitting around $60. A Rainbow Mew VMAX, the Inteleon VMAX, the Genesect V, the Gengar VMAX, not the alt, and then another Mew V card. That's your top 10 value, or top 10 cards. When you look at the value of this set, $1,225 approximately top 3. Top 5 value, $1,355, and then top 10 value, $1,497. So Fusion Strike is clearly looking like a better set than Surging Sparks. And I don't think Surging Sparks in a couple of years is going to catch Fusion Strike, but it could be close, right? When we look at it, I imagine it's going to be somewhere around Lost Origin within a few years once it goes out of rotation. Because when you look at the top 3 value, you look at the top 5 value, the top 10, it's very close. It could honestly go higher than Lost Origin too, just when we consider the fun factor of opening sets, right? So a lot of these older Sword and Shield sets, it really is you get a huge chase card or bust. There's nothing in between. With these Scarlet and Violet era sets that have lots of IR cards, even if you're pulling something like a Bravery, an Execute, a Mesprit, Archaludon, maybe even Skarmory, Feebas. So there's lots of cards that you can pull that just make it more fun to open. Latios as well, Saroledge. So it is, something to consider, and I might have to factor that more in the future. But I think Surging Sparks, honestly, right now in the current market, just based on values and popularity and fun and opening everything, I think it should be somewhere around $300, maybe even a little bit higher, right? Like, again, look at Chilling Reign, look at the value of the cards inside, compare that to Surging Sparks, and what would you rather pull right now? Would you rather pull a Blaziken VMAX, or would you rather pull the Pikachu? Would you rather pull a Latias EX and a Milotic, or would you rather pull the Galarian Moltres V or the Snorlax? Like, it's a rainbow gold, or it's a gold Snorlax. Nothing too crazy there. I actually really like the Moltres. That's just my opinion. But again, like, most people are probably going to choose Surging Sparks at this moment. And again, guys, obviously reprints are going to play a large factor in what happens with the booster box price, as well as the card prices. If we get more reprints on the market, there's going to be more cards. Eventually, that's going to bring the price of some of these cards down. Something that is interesting, though, that I don't talk about much, but if you guys watch Nostalgianomics, he's talked about a lot of these IR illustration rares, how there isn't actually a ton of PSA 10s, right? Like the gem mint rate for a lot of these cards is fairly low. And that could honestly keep a lot of these illustrations and special illustration rare cards up a lot higher than people expect them to drop, even if we do get reprints. And especially in this market with how popular Pokemon is right now, how much demand there is for some of these sets, I honestly don't know if it's going to make a huge difference. And this is like, what, 3 months, 4 months after release of Surging Sparks at this point. And a lot of these cards are holding strong, which is, like, honestly a really good sign. And the only other thing I could think of is new sets taking away some eyes, right? So Heatwave Arena, Journey Together is coming out. I don't think Journey Together is going to be that great. I could be wrong, though, right? I said the same thing about Twilight Masquerade. It's the second best booster box set in Scarlet and Violet era, based on, top 3, top 5, and top 10 values right now. Also the booster box price. But if we get Heatwave Arena, Glory to Team Rocket, if those combine in Destined Rivals and we get a really banger set, that could start to take eyes off of Surging Sparks. It could also take eyes off of Twilight Masquerade and Paldea Evolved and all of the other Sword and Shield sets. But, that could affect the value of some of these cards as well. But honestly, guys, it should be somewhere between, I think, Chilling Reign and Lost Origin. And, even if it was closer to Brilliant Stars, right, this should still be like a $290 box. And even if it was $290 right now, It was about the same price of Brilliant Stars. What would you rather open and potentially get value for? Top three value of close to $900, or a top three value of that's not even $350, right? Top five value over 1,000, a top five value at only $440, right? Same, you can do top 10, whatever, basically more than double. It just seems like a no-brainer that people would want to open this compared to something like Brilliant Stars, wherever it is over here. So again, that's why I think this box is undervalued. It should be a lot higher. I think a lot of people just expect reprints to come, and just because it's such a new set, they don't want to push it any further. I kind of feel the same way, but I also do regret probably moving too much of my Surging Sparks. Maybe I should have held an extra case. I'm glad I still have some. Made good money on it, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully that got my point across. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think, if I'm off base, if you agree, disagree, whatever. Again, make sure to check out Notify in the description down below. Guys, it's really the only way you're ever going to get new product in this market. If you don't have a notification service, you're absolutely cooked at this point. But again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.